Alicia Thompson had cleaned blood off marble floors before 8 years ago when her parents died for knowing too much about the wrong people. Now she pushed a mop through the Vale Corporation lobby at dawn, invisible to everyone, exactly how she needed to be. The black SUV across the street had been watching for 3 days. The fake driver in Jonathan Hale's sedan kept touching his earpiece. The men pretending to smoke moved like hunters. She recognized the signs because she'd been trained to recognize them in another life, before she learned that sometimes the best way to survive is to disappear. But when the CEO reached for his car door, Alicia saw her parents' murder about to repeat itself, and every instinct she'd buried screamed to life. In 5 seconds, she would shatter 3 years of carefully maintained invisibility with a single shout. What happened next would prove that the most dangerous person in any building isn't always the one in the corner office. Sometimes it's the one holding the mop. Just before we get back to it, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. And if you're enjoying these stories, make sure you're subscribed. The marble floors of the Vale Corporation building gleamed under the early morning light, reflecting the soft glow of dawn through the towering glass windows. Alicia Thompson moved her mop and practiced rhythmic strokes across the pristine surface. Her movements so familiar they'd become almost meditative. At 32, she'd been cleaning these floors for 3 years now, arriving each morning at 5:30 sharp, long before the executives in their 1,000 suits would stride through the lobby. Most people never noticed her. She was just part of the building's machinery, as invisible as the air conditioning that kept the place comfortable or the elevators that whisked important people to important meetings. But Alicia noticed everything. It was a habit she couldn't shake even after all these years. This morning, something was different. She paused mid-stroke, her attention drawn to the street beyond the glass doors. A black SUV sat parked across from the building, engine running, exhaust visible in the cool morning air. She'd seen that same vehicle yesterday and the day before. The windows were tinted so dark she couldn't see inside, but she could make out 2 figures in the front seats. Alicia resumed mopping, but her eyes kept drifting back to the SUV. 2 men in dark suits stood near it now, cigarettes in hand, but something about their posture seemed wrong. They held their cigarettes like props, barely taking drags, their eyes constantly scanning the building entrance. One of them touched his ear occasionally, the telltale sign of an earpiece. Just paranoid, she muttered to herself, wringing out her mop. But paranoia had kept her and Malik safe all these years. She learned to trust her instincts. The morning routine continued. By 7, the first wave of employees began trickling in. Junior associates with their coffee cups and anxious expressions. Middle managers checking their phones obsessively. Alicia had moved to the second-floor balcony that overlooked the main entrance, polishing the brass railings. From this vantage point, she had a clear view of everything. At 7:45, like clockwork, Jonathan Hale's town car pulled up to the curb. The CEO of Vale Corporation stepped out, and even from her position, Alicia could see the exhaustion etched into his features. At 41, Jonathan Vale commanded attention wherever he went. Sharp jawline, prematurely silver temples, that somehow made him look more distinguished. Custom-tailored suit, that probably cost more than Alicia made in 2 months. But today he looked distracted, his phone pressed to his ear as he gestured animatedly. "No, the merger documents need to be reviewed by legal before noon," he was saying, his voice carrying in the morning quiet. "I don't care if Harrison has to cancel his golf game. This is a $16 billion deal." Alicia watched as Jonathan ended his call and started toward the building entrance. His regular driver, an older gentleman named Frank, who always tipped his cap to the cleaning staff, had pulled the company's sedan around to the executive entrance on the side of the building. It was Jonathan's routine. Arrive in the town car, walk through the main entrance to be seen by employees, then exit through the side to his waiting sedan for any morning meetings off-site. But something was wrong. The man behind the wheel of the sedan wasn't Frank. This driver was younger, bulkier, wearing sunglasses despite the early morning hour. And across the street, the 2 fake smokers had tensed, one of them dropping a cigarette and crushing it under his heel. The black SUV's lights flickered on. Tom seemed to slow. Alicia's mind processed the pieces, the surveillance, the substitute driver, the synchronized movements. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. Jonathan was 20 feet from the sedan when Alicia's voice erupted across the plaza. "Don't get in the car." Her shout echoed off the glass and steel canyon of the financial district. Every head turned. Jonathan froze mid-stride, his hand on the sedan's door handle. The fake driver's head snapped toward Alicia. One of the men across the street reached inside his jacket. Alicia didn't think. She dropped her cleaning supplies and ran, her work boots slapping against the pavement as she sprinted down the emergency stairs and burst through the side exit. She could see the confusion on Jonathan's face morphing into alarm as she barreled toward him. "Get back!" she shouted, grabbing his arm and yanking him away from the sedan. The world exploded into chaos. Tires screeched as the black SUV lurched forward, cutting across traffic. The fake driver threw open his door and bolted, abandoning the sedan. Corporate security guards, caught completely off guard, fumbled for their radios. Employees scattered, some screaming, others pulling out phones to record. The SUV careened past where Jonathan would have been, close enough that Alicia could see her own reflection in its black windows before it swerved around the corner and vanished in a morning traffic. Jonathan stood frozen, his face pale, still gripping Alicia's arm as if she were the only solid thing in a world suddenly tilted off its axis. His eyes met hers, ice blue and sharp with intelligence, now wide with shock. "How did you?" he started, but the security team swarmed them before he could finish. "Mr. Hale, we need to get you inside immediately. Check the sedan for devices. Someone call the police. Get that woman away from him." The last command made Alicia release Jonathan's arm and step back. The head of security, a barrel-chested man named Brennan, looked at her with a mixture of suspicion and confusion. "Ma'am, you'll need to come with us." By noon, the Hale Corporation building buzzed with rumors like a disturbed beehive. The story had morphed and mutated as it passed from floor to floor, department to department. In the Effley, "Bennett had a message for you from the architect." She slid a tablet across. On it was a video message time-stamped from an hour ago. A figure in shadows, voice disguised. "Miss Thompson, or should I say Miss Walker?" "Yes, we know your real name. Alicia Walker, daughter of David and Sarah Walker. You've caused considerable disruption to our operations. This is unfortunate, but not irreversible. We have a proposition." Alicia's blood ran cold. They knew who she really was. The figure continued. "Your brother Malik has exceptional potential. Medical school. You hope we can make that happen. Full scholarship to Johns Hopkins. Residency at Mayo Clinic. A career that would make your parents proud. All we ask is that you walk away. Leave the city. Leave Jonathan Hale. Leave this investigation. Disappear as you did 8 years ago." Or Alicia asked Coleman. "There's more." The video resumed. "Should you refuse, the evidence Bennett carried was not the only copy. Your real identity will be exposed. But more importantly, Jonathan Hale will learn the truth, that your parents' investigation into corporate corruption included his father's company. That Hale Corporation under Richard Hale's leadership was part of the network your mother died trying to expose." The room spun. Alicia gripped the table. "Jonathan's father was involved. We're verifying now, but the evidence suggests Richard Hale was a client of the early architect network. Money laundering, insider trading, possible murder of competitors. He died 5 years ago, but the connections. Jonathan doesn't know. No. And if this comes out, it destroys him. His entire legacy, his company's reputation, everything he's built on his father's foundation, it all crumbles." Alicia stood pacing. The architect had found the perfect leverage. Expose the truth and destroy the man she'd come to care about. Or walk away and let the network survive. "I need to see Jonathan. Alicia, if you tell him. I know what happens if I tell him. I know what happens if I don't." She found Jonathan at Hale Corporation in his office, surrounded by lawyers and board members. The moment he saw her, he dismissed everyone. "Alicia, thank God. When you went silent, I thought he stopped," seeing her expression. "What's wrong?" She sat down trying to find the words. "How do you tell someone their entire life is built on blood?" "Bennett's talking. He's revealing the network. That's good news. Jonathan, there's something else about your father. His expression shifted. Garden now. What about him? The architect network has existed for decades. Your father. He was involved. Silence stretched between them. Then quietly, I know. Alicia's shock must have shown because Jonathan continued. I've known for 3 years. Found documents after he died hidden in his personal safe. Payments to unknown entities. Coded communications. I've been quietly investigating, trying to understand the extent of it. Why didn't you say anything? To whom? The board members, who might have been complicit. The authorities who might destroy the company and thousands of jobs. I've been trying to clean up his mess without destroying everything. The architect knows they're using it as leverage against you. Understanding dawned on his face. They want you to walk away, leave me exposed, or they reveal everything. It's an impossible choice. Jonathan stood, moving to the window that overlooked the city. No, it's not. We reveal it ourselves. That will destroy you. Maybe. Or maybe it's the only way to be free. He turned back to her. My father built this company on corrupt foundations. I've been trying to reform it, but maybe that's not enough. Maybe we need to tear it down and rebuild. The board will never agree to that. The board doesn't get a choice. I'm the majority shareholder. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling a press conference. Jonathan, wait. Think about this. I have. For 3 years, I've carried this guilt, this shame. You show me that running from the past doesn't work. It always catches up. 2 hours later, the press room was packed. Jonathan stood at the podium, Alicia in the wings, watching. He looked calm, resolved. Ladies and gentlemen, I have difficult truths to share about Vale Corporation's past and my father's involvement in a criminal network. The room erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. Jonathan raised his hand for silence. Over the coming days, we will release all documentation to federal authorities. Vale Corporation will cooperate fully with investigations. Those harmed by my father's actions will be compensated, and I will be stepping down as CEO effective immediately. Alicia felt her heart drop. This wasn't what she'd wanted, Jonathan continued. My replacement will be someone of unquestionable integrity. Someone who's shown courage in the face of danger and loyalty when it mattered most. The board may resist, but I have the votes. Alicia Thompson, Alicia Walker will serve as interim CEO while we restructure. The room went silent. Alicia stepped forward shocked. Jonathan, I can't. You can. You're the only one I trust to do this right. The press conference devolved into chaos. But Jonathan walked out, taking Alicia's hand, leading her away from the noise. In the quiet of his office, reality set in. I'm a janitor, Alicia said. I don't know how to run a corporation. You know how to see truth, how to protect people, how to make hard choices. The rest you can learn. The board will revolt. Let them. I control 51% of voting shares, and I'm transferring them to a trust you'll oversee. Jonathan, this is insane. No, this is justice. My father destroyed your family. Let me help you rebuild it. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Malik, Alicia, there are FBI agents here. They say we need to move now. Coleman's voice came on the line. The architect's response to the press conference. They're mobilizing. We need you both in protective custody. Where? Undisclosed location. Non-negotiable. Alicia looked at Jonathan together. All of you. You. Jonathan Malik. This war just went public, and you're all targets now. As they prepared to leave, Jonathan touched her arm. I'm sorry for what my father did. For what you lost. You're not your father. No. But I benefited from his crimes. That makes me responsible for making it right. They walked out together into an uncertain future. The architect was still out there, the network wounded but not dead. But for the first time in 8 years, Alicia wasn't facing alone. In the FBI sedan, Malik sat between them looking shell-shocked. So, you going to be a CEO? He asked Alicia. Temporarily, until we fix things, and we're in witness protection just for a while. Malik looked at Jonathan. And you gave up everything to expose the truth. Not everything. I kept what matters, which is Jonathan glanced at Alicia. Integrity and the people worth protecting. As the city faded behind them, Alicia thought about her parents, about justice delayed but not denied. The architect, D taken her family, forced her into shadows. But shadows could be useful. From shadows, you could see everything. Strike when needed. The war wasn't over, but the battlefield had changed, and Alicia Walker, janitor turned CEO, protector turned protected, was ready for whatever came next. The FBI safe house sat on 50 acres of Virginia farmland, far from the glass towers and marble floors of Vale Corporation. Alicia stood at the window, watching the sun rise over fields she'd never expected to see. 3 weeks in protective custody. Felt like 3 years. Can't sleep either. Jonathan appeared beside her, coffee in hand. Too quiet here. I miss the city noise. You miss being able to fight back. He was right. Every day in hiding while the architects' network regrouped felt like losing ground. The FBI had made arrests. Dozens of corporate executives, government officials, even 2 judges, but the head of the snake remained hidden. Coleman's here. Malik called from the kitchen where he'd been studying for his SATs despite everything. Agent Coleman entered with a tablet and grim expression. We have a problem. The board is moving to invalidate Jonathan's transfer of power. They're claiming mental incapacity due to trauma. They can't do that. Jonathan said they're trying. Emergency shareholder meeting in 6 hours. If you're not there to defend yourself, they win by default. It's a trap. Alicia said immediately. They know we'll have to come out of protection probably. But if you don't show, they seize control. The architect wins anyway. Alicia's phone, a secure FBI device buzz. Unknown number, but she recognized the pattern. Marcus, kid, you need to know something. Word on the street is the architect will be at that meeting in person. This is their endgame. How do you know? Because I've been digging. The architect isn't hiding anymore. They're done with shadows. This is about proving nobody can touch them, not even the FBI. Alicia ended the call and looked at Coleman. We're going to that meeting. Absolutely not. My orders are to keep you safe. Your orders are irrelevant if the architect takes control of one of the largest corporations in America. She turned to Jonathan. You still have allies on the board. 3, maybe 4 members who actually care about the company's future. That's enough. We go in, but we go smart. Coleman shook her head. This is suicide. No, it's finishing what my parents started. The plan was intricate, but necessary. Coleman arranged for decoy vehicles, multiple FBI teams, and swap backup. But Alicia knew none of it would matter if the architect had infiltrated law enforcement, which seemed likely. I need something else, she told Coleman privately. My old gear from before. Your federal training equipment that's classified. I'm walking into a trap to face the person who killed my parents. I'm going prepared or not at all. 2 hours later, Alicia strapped on tactical gear she hadn't worn in 8 years. It fit perfectly. Muscle memory returning as she checked each piece. Jonathan watched from the doorway. You look like a completely different person. I'm a different person. This is who I was before I became invisible. I prefer the visible you. She met his eyes. Even if visibility gets us killed, especially then, at least we're fighting. Malik appeared, looking young and scared. You're really going back there? Alicia hugged him tight. We finished this today. One way or another. What if you don't come back? Then you take that medical school scholarship the FBI arranged, and you become the doctor Mom and Dad would have been proud of. I'd rather have my sister. You'll always have me, even if don't. Malik pulled back. Don't say goodbye. Just promise you'll come back. I promise we'll try. The Vale Corporation building looked different as they approached. More fortress than office building. Security vehicles surrounded it, but Alicia noticed inconsistencies. Some guards were positioned wrong. Sightlines compromised. Either they were incompetent or compromised. At least 30% of that security is fake. She told Coleman through the comm, how can you tell? Real security watches everything. These guys are only watching us. They entered through the parking garage, FBI agents flanking them. The elevator ride to the boardroom felt endless. Jonathan straightened his tie. He'd insisted on wearing a suit, saying if he was going to face the board, he'd do it as their CEO, not a fugitive. The boardroom doors opened to reveal a scene of corporate theater. Board members sat in their assigned seats, but behind them stood new security, hard-faced men who looked more like mercenaries than corporate guards. William Stratford smiled coldly. Jonathan, Ms. Walker, so good of you to join us. This meeting is illegal, Jonathan said. I haven't been declared incompetent, haven't you? After that delusional press conference, claiming your father was a criminal. Appointing a janitor as CEO. Stratford shook his head. Clear signs of a breakdown. The only breakdown here is in corporate governance, Alicia said, stepping forward. Half this board took money from the Architects Network. Prove it. Rebecca Harrison challenged. Alicia pulled out a drive. Bennett kept records. Insurance, he called it. Every payment, every deal, every crime. The room tensed. Several board members exchanged nervous glances. That evidence is inadmissible, Stratford said. Obtained illegally by the FBI in a lawful arrest, Coleman interrupted, entering with her team. We have warrants for David Crawford, Patricia Whitman, and Robert Sterling. Chaos erupted as FBI agents moved to arrest the named board members. The mercenary guards reached for weapons, but Coleman's team was ready. Nobody move. Coleman shouted. In a confusion, Alicia noticed one figure, sitting calmly, at the far end of the table. Someone she hadn't seen before. A woman in an expensive suit watching everything with amused detachment. Hello, Alicia, the woman said, her voice cutting through the noise. Or do you prefer Miss Walker? Everyone froze. The woman stood, and Alicia saw her face, clearly for the first time. Her blood went cold. No, you're dead. Deaf, like identity, can be negotiable with the right resources. The woman smiled. It's been 8 years, but you haven't changed much. Jonathan looked between them. Alicia, who is this? Catherine Pierce, Alicia said numbly. My mother's partner at the accounting firm. She died in the same accident that killed my parents. Clearly not, Catherine said. Though your parents did die. Shame. Really? Sarah was brilliant. She just couldn't leave well enough alone. You killed them. You were the third architect. I was until I retired and let others take the reins. But when you started causing problems, well, I had to come back. Some things require a personal touch. Coleman raised her weapon. You're under arrest. Catherine laughed. Am I? Check your communications. Agent Coleman. Coleman's earpiece crackled. Stand down. Orders from Washington. Pierce has immunity. That's impossible. The Architect Network goes higher than you imagined. Catherine said. Senators, cabinet members, agency directors. You can't arrest me because the people who sign your paychecks won't let you. Alicia felt rage building. This woman had killed her parents, destroyed her life, and now stood there untouchable. You're wrong about one thing, Alicia said quietly. I have changed. She moved before anyone could react, vaulting over the conference table. Catherine's guards responded, but Alicia was already past them. 8 years of suppressed training exploded into motion. She hit Catherine hard, driving her into the window. The glass cracked but held. You took everything from me. Catherine smiled even as Alicia's hands found her throat. And I'd do it again. Your mother was going to destroy an empire we spent decades building. Good. Jonathan pulled Alicia back as guards surrounded them, weapons drawn. But Alicia saw something in Catherine's eyes. Surprise, maybe even fear. You're not untouchable, Alicia said. You just made a mistake. You showed your face. Now everyone knows who you are. It doesn't matter. I have immunity from prosecution, not from a court of public opinion. Alicia pulled out her phone, showing a recording app. This entire conversation has been live streaming. Millions of people just heard you confess to murdering my parents. Catherine's composure finally cracked. You little the architect works in shadows, Alicia continued. But you just stepped into the light. How long before your network abandons you? How long before you become a liability? Catherine's phone rang. She answered, her face paling as she listened. Understood, she said finally, then looked at Alicia. You've won this round, but the network survives. It always survives. Not anymore, Jonathan said, stepping forward. As CEO of Vale Corporation, I'm announcing a full forensic audit. Every transaction, every connection to the Architect Network will be exposed. Other companies will follow. Your empire is crumbling. Catherine moved toward the door, her guards forming a protective circle. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Coleman said your immunity deal. It was contingent on cooperation. Confessing to murder on live stream violates that agreement. You can't. I can't. But they can. Coleman pointed out the window where news vans had gathered. Reporters already broadcasting. You're the most wanted woman in America now. Good luck finding shadows to hide in. Catherine ran, her guards hustling her toward the elevator. But Alicia knew she wouldn't get far. Not with her face on every screen in the country. It's over, Jonathan said quietly. Not quite, Stratford interrupted. He'd been silent during the confrontation, but now stood with several remaining board members. This changes nothing regarding leadership. The board still has no confidence. The board is dissolved, Jonathan announced. Effective immediately, the 3 arrested members constitute a criminal conspiracy, invalidating their positions. Without them, you lack a quorum for any binding decisions. You can't just I can check the bylaws. In cases of criminal infiltration, the majority shareholder has unilateral authority. He looked at Alicia. Ms. Walker's appointment stands. 6 months later, Alicia stood in what used to be Jonathan's office, now hers. The city sprawled below. Same view, different perspective. The mahogany desk had been replaced with something simpler, more functional. The pretentious art was gone, replaced by photos. Her parents, Malik at his Harvard Medical School acceptance, Jonathan and her at the company's relaunch event, the quarterly reports. Sharon, her assistant, entered with a tablet. The same Sharon who'd once tried to stop her from entering this office. The board wants to review them before the meeting. The board can wait. I want to check them first. The new board was smaller, younger, more diverse. People who'd worked their way up rather than inherited their positions. It had been a fight to get them appointed, but Jonathan's shares had made it possible. Mr. Hale is here, Sharon added with a knowing smile. Jonathan entered, looking relaxed in jeans and a sweater. Stepping down had suited him. He ran a foundation now, using his remaining wealth to help families affected by corporate corruption. You look good behind that desk, he said. I look like someone playing dress up. You look like someone who increased profit margins by 12% while raising employee wages. That's just common sense. Happy employees work harder. Tell that to the old board. He sat on the edge of her desk, a familiarity that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Marcus called. Catherine Pierce was spotted in Serbia. She won't hide forever. FBI says she's becoming irrelevant anyway. The network is eating itself trying to blame her for everything. Good. Jonathan studied her. You know, you never asked me something. What? Why? I really came to find you that morning after you saved me. Before I knew about your past, your training when you were just a janitor who noticed something wrong. Why did you? Because in 3 years of walking past you every morning, it was the first time I really saw you. And once I saw you, I couldn't stop looking. Alicia felt warmth spread through her chest. Jonathan, I know. Workplace relationships, power dynamics, all complicated. You don't work here anymore. No, I don't. He leaned closer. So, maybe we could have dinner somewhere without security details or FBI agents. Are you asking me on a date? I'm asking the woman who saved my life, exposed a conspiracy, and revolutionized my company to have dinner with me. Call it whatever you want. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. Malik texting from Harvard Anatomy. Final of thanks for believing in me. She showed Jonathan the message. That's what matters. He's safe. He's thriving. You did that. We did that. All of us. A knock at the door interrupted them. Coleman entered. Badge clipped to her belt as always. Bad news. Alicia asked. Actually good news. Bennett's testimony led to 17 more arrests this morning. The Architect Network is officially designated as a terrorist organization. Their assets are frozen globally. And Bennett 25 to life. Possibility of parole in 15 if he continues cooperating. Justice finally, not perfect, but real. That evening, Alicia walked through the Hale Corporation lobby. The marble floors still gleamed. She'd insisted on keeping the same cleaning crew, just with better paying benefits. Some things didn't need a change. She stopped at a new addition to the lobby, a memorial wall, in memory of those lost to corporate corruption. Her parents' names were there along with dozens of others the investigation had uncovered. You did it, Mom, she whispered. It took 8 years, but we exposed them. Ms. Walker. She turned to find a young woman in a janitor's uniform. I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for us. The pay raise, the EDUC, Asian fund, the respect. It matters. What's your name? Diana. Diana Foster. Diana, let me give you some advice. Pay attention to everything. You see things from down here that people up there miss. Don't let anyone tell you that makes you less valuable. Diana smiled. Yes, ma'am. As Alicia left the building, she found Jonathan waiting by a normal car. Not a limo, not a town car, just a simple sedan. Where are we going? She asked. Somewhere nobody knows us. Were you not a CEO? And I'm not a billionaire, son. Just Jonathan and Alicia. That sounds perfect. They drove through the city as night fell. Past the Riverside factory, where Bennett had tried to trap her. Past the hotel, where the gala had gone wrong. Past her old apartment building, where this had all started. Any regrets? Jonathan asked. No. Well, one what? I never got to finish mopping that floor the morning I saved you. He laughed. Really laughed. And she joined him. It felt good to laugh about it now, to transform trauma into something lighter. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, her old contact. Kid, you should know there's talk about making you an example. The good kind. Federal training programs want to use your story. Show that people can stand up to corruption and win. She showed Jonathan the message. You're becoming a legend. He said, I never wanted to be a legend. I just wanted to protect my brother. You did that, and a lot more. They pulled up to a small restaurant. Nothing fancy. The kind of place where nobody would look twice at them. As they walked in, Alicia's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but habit made her pick up. Hello, Alicia. The voice was electronically distorted. The sixth architect sends regards. Her blood chilled. The network is dead. Networks don't die. They evolve. We've learned from Catherine's mistakes. We won't be so visible next time. I'll stop you. Perhaps. Or perhaps we'll work around you. The world is vast, Miss Walker. You can't watch it all. The line went dead. Jonathan saw her expression. The architect. A new one. The sixth. So it's not over. No. She looked at him. Then back at the city lights through the restaurant window. But neither are we. He took her hand. Together. Together. They entered the restaurant, leaving the shadows behind for now. But Alicia knew they'd return to them when needed. She was no longer the invisible janitor, no longer the hidden protector. She was Alicia Walker, CEO, survivor, and guardian. The architect might evolve, but so would she. And next time she'd be ready. Later that night, after dinner, after Jonathan had driven her to her new apartment, a security-enhanced penthouse the FBI had insisted on, Alicia stood on her balcony looking out at the city. Her phone showed a message from Malik. Proud of you, sis. Mom and Dad would be too. She typed back. Just getting started. Because that was the truth. The old war was won, but a new one was beginning. The sixth architect was out there planning, watching, but so was she. Alicia Walker had spent 8 years as a janitor, invisible and safe. Now she was visible, powerful, and dangerous to those who preyed on the innocent. Let them come. She'd faced the worst and survived. Whatever came next, she'd be ready. The city hummed below. Millions of lives intersecting. Most unaware of the battles fought in boardrooms and shadows. But some knew, some remembered, and some, like Diana Foster, were watching, learning, preparing. The cycle continued, but now it had a guardian. Someone who'd risen from the lowest position to the highest office, who'd faced a monster and won. Alicia smiled, thinking of tomorrow's board meeting, of the reform she'd push through, of the lives she'd change. It wouldn't be easy. The entrenched power structures would resist. But she'd learned something important. Sometimes the best person to clean up a mess is the one who knows every corner, where the dirt hides. She was no longer the janitor, but she'd never forget being one. And that more than any title or authority was her true power. What would you sacrifice to protect the ones you love? Your identity, your safety, or the comfortable invisibility that keeps you hidden from those who would destroy everything you've built? If this story of courage hidden in plain sight moved you, Hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of ordinary people facing extraordinary choices. Executive conference rooms behind frosted glass. Senior staff huddled in urgent meetings. In the break rooms, administrative assistants whispered over their microwaved lunches. Did you hear? The janitor saved Hale's life. I heard she was on it. How else would she have known? My friend in security said she practically tackled him. Maybe it was all staged for publicity. You know, with the merger and all. Alicia sat in a windowless room in the security office, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Brennan sat across from her, flanked by 2 other security officers and a woman from Human Resources who kept glancing at her watch. Let's go through this again, Brennan said, his tone making it clear this was not a request. You were cleaning the 2nd floor. You saw Mr. Hale arrive. And then what? You just happened to notice something was wrong. Alicia met his gaze steadily. I saw the SUV. It's been parked across the street for 3 days. Same spot, always running. And you didn't think to report this? Report what? A parked car. You would have laughed me out of the building. The HR woman, her badge read Patricia Whitman, leaned forward. Miss Thompson, you understand how this looks, don't you? The coincidence of it all. What coincidence? Alicia kept her voice level, but inside anger was building. I saw something wrong and I acted. Would you prefer I had stayed quiet? We're not saying that. Brennan interjected, though his expression suggested otherwise. But you have to admit, your awareness seems unusual for someone in your position. Someone in your position. The words hung in the air like a slap. Alicia had heard variations of them her whole life. Too smart for a janitor. Too observant for someone who just cleans. As if intelligence and poverty couldn't coexist. I pay attention, she said simply. It's not a crime. No one's suggesting it is, Patricia said with a practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes. We're just trying to understand the full picture. For the report, they kept her there for 3 more hours going over the same questions, probing for inconsistencies. When they finally released her, the sun was setting, painting the city in shades of orange and gold. Alicia gathered her things from her locker. They'd been searched, of course, and headed for the exit. Miss Thompson, she turned to find Jonathan Hale standing by the elevators. Up close, without the chaos and adrenaline, she could see the fine lines around his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands that he was trying to hide by keeping them clasped behind his back. Mr. Hale. She wasn't sure what else to say. Thank you for not having me arrested. Sorry for grabbing you. I wanted to thank you, he said, and something in his voice suggested these words didn't come easily to him. What you did this morning. I owe you my life. You don't owe me anything. I just did what anyone would do. No, he said firmly. They wouldn't. My entire security team, trained professionals, saw nothing. But you did. How? The question hung between them. Alicia could give him the easy answer. Luck, coincidence, being in the right place at the right time. But something in his eyes, a genuine curiosity beneath the executive facade, made her pause. The car had been there for days, she said. Same spot, same time. The men pretending to smoke. Nobody holds a cigarette like that unless they're pretending. And your regular driver, Frank, he always wears that veteran's cap. The man in your sedan this morning didn't even know how to adjust the seat properly. He was sitting too far back like he was unfamiliar with the car. Jonathan stared at her, and she could practically see his mind recalculating, reassessing. You noticed all that while mopping. I noticed everything, Mr. Hale. Most people just don't ask. He was quiet for a moment, then pulled out his phone. I'm arranging for a security detail to escort you home. That's not necessary. Yes, it is. Whoever tried to take me nosy stopped them. That makes you a target. The word target sent a chill down Alicia's spine, but she kept her expression neutral. I can take care of myself. I'm sure you can, but humor me. It's the least I can do. Alicia wanted to argue, but exhaustion was setting in, and the thought of someone watching her back, even temporarily, wasn't entirely unwelcome. She nodded. As she walked toward the exit, she heard Jonathan make another call. Harrison, it's Jonathan. I need you to pull everything we have on an employee named Alicia Thompson. Full background, financial records, previous employment, everything. And Harrison discreetly. The walk home usually took Alicia 30 minutes, but with the security detail following in their obvious black sedan, it felt like hours. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every passing car potential danger. She kept her hand in her pocket, fingers wrapped around her keys, a habit from years of walking alone at night. Her apartment building stood like a tired soldier in a row of similar structures. Brick facades stained with age and weather. The security detail waited until she was inside before pulling away, but Alicia knew they'd circle back. Jonathan Hale didn't seem like the type to do things halfway. She climbed the 4 flights to her apartment. The elevator had been broken for 6 months, and unlocked the 3 dead bolts she'd installed herself. Inside, the familiar sight of home greeted her. Worn but clean furniture, walls decorated with Malik's artwork, the faint smell of the lavender candles she bought from the dollar store. Alicia, bet you. Malik emerged from his room, all gangly limbs and worried eyes. At 17, he was hitting that stage where he was all knees and elbows, growing too fast for his coordination to keep up. His face, so much like their mother's, creased with concern. "You're late, and you look like—" He paused, taking her appearance more carefully. "What happened?" "Long day at work." She kicked off her boots and headed to the kitchen. "You eat yet?" "I made spaghetti. There's a plate in the fridge for you." "But seriously, what's wrong? You got that look." "What?" "Look the same one you had when those guys were hassling M. Rodriguez last month." Alicia smiled despite herself. Her brother was too observant for his own good. A family trait, apparently. There was an incident at work. Nothing to worry about. An incident that has you checking the windows. Malik had noticed her glancing at the fire escape. "Come on, I'm not a kid anymore." She heated up the spaghetti and sat down at their small table. Malik across from her in the soft light of their kitchen. She could see the worry in his eyes. The way he was trying to seem older, more capable. It broke her heart a little. "Someone tried to hurt my boss today. I helped stop it. Heard how they tried to kidnap him, I think. But I saw it coming and warned him." Malik's eyes widened. "You saved Jonathan Hale." "The Jonathan Hale, the billionaire." "He's not a billionaire. His company is worth billio. NS. There's a difference." Still, Malik shook his head in amazement. "That's huge. You're like a hero." "I'm not a hero. A sound from outside made them both freeze. Footsteps on the fire escape. Slow and deliberate. Alicia stood pushing Malik behind her, her hand reaching for the knife block on the counter. The footsteps continued up past their window to the apartment above. They both exhaled. "Just Mr. Chun," Malik said, but his voice shook slightly. "Yeah, just Mr. Chun." But as Alicia looked at her brother, saw the fear he was trying to hide, she realized Jonathan had been right. She was a target now. And worse, that target extended to the one person she'd sworn to protect above all others. That night, after Malik had gone to bed, Alicia sat by the window, watching the street below. A car sat parked across from their building. Engine off, windows dark. It might have been nothing. This neighborhood had its share of people who sat in cars at odd hours for various reasons. But after today, nothing felt like coincidence anymore. She thought about Jonathan Hale's face when she grabbed him, the shock giving way to something else. Respect maybe, or curiosity. He'd looked at her, really looked at her, possibly for the first time since she'd started working at his building. Tomorrow she'd have to go back, face the whispers and stares, pretend everything was normal, while knowing that someone out there wanted her employer dead or captured. And now they knew she was willing to stand in their way. As if responding to her thoughts, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stay out of things that don't concern you." Alicia deleted the message, but the threat lingered in the air like smoke. She pulled the curtains closed and checked the locks one more time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she and Malik were safe. That had to be enough. The morning air felt different as Alicia approached the Hale Corporation building. Yesterday, she'd been invisible. Today, every eye seemed to track her movement. The security guard at the employee entrance, who'd never so much as nodded at her before, stood straighter as she swiped her key card. "Morning, Miss Thompson," he said, and there was something in his tone. Respect mixed with suspicion. "Morning, Davis." Inside the marble lobby that she'd cleaned countless times felt like a stage. A group of junior executives stopped talking as she walked past. Two secretaries from the fourth floor actually stepped aside to let her pass, as if she'd suddenly become someone important or dangerous. Alicia kept her head down and headed for the supply closet. Her supervisor, Carl Briggs, was waiting for her, his thick arms crossed over his chest. "Hell of a thing yesterday," he said, not quite meeting her eyes. "Yeah, got reporters calling, asking about you." "I'm not talking to reporters." "Good, good." He shifted uncomfortably. "Look, Alicia, some of the others, they're saying things about how you knew something. Maybe you were involved, somehow involved." The word tasted bitter. "You think I arranged to have someone kidnapped, just so I could save him?" "I don't think anything, but others." He shrugged. "Just watch yourself. Not everyone's happy about a janitor being in the spotlight." Before Alicia could respond, the supply closet door opened. Jonathan Hale stood there looking out of place among the mops and industrial cleaners. "Miss Thompson, alert." Carl's eyes widened. In 3 years, the CEO had never ventured into the service areas. "Mr. Hale, sir, I can have a report to your office." "No need, Miss Thompson." Jonathan gestured toward the hallway. Alicia followed him, acutely aware of Carl's stare boring into her back. Jonathan walked with purpose, leading her not to the executive elevator, but to a quiet corner of the lobby near the indoor fountain that nobody ever sat by. "How did you know?" "No." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You knew exactly what was happening. You didn't hesitate, didn't second-guess. You knew Alicia considered her options. The truth would open doors she'd rather keep closed. But lies had a way of unraveling, especially under scrutiny from someone like Jonathan Hale." "I've seen that car before," she said finally. "Not just the past 3 days. 2 weeks ago. It was parked outside the Riverside office when you had that meeting with the Japanese investors. Last month, it followed your car when you left the charity dinner at the Morrison Hotel." Jonathan's expression shifted, calculating. "You've been watching me." "I've been watching everything. It's what I do." Most people don't pay attention to their surroundings, but when you're— She paused, choosing her words carefully. "When you're someone like me, you learn and notice things. It's survival. Someone like you." He repeated her words thoughtfully. "And what exactly does that mean?" Before she could answer, the building's main doors burst open. A swarm of reporters pushed against the security line that had been hastily established. Cameras flashed. Voices shouted questions. "Mr. Hale, can you comment on the attempted kidnapping? Is it true a janitor saved your life? Are you concerned about corporate security?" Jonathan's PR team materialized as if from thin air, surrounding him, ushering him toward the executive elevator. Alicia tried to slip away, but one reporter had noticed her. You're the janitor, Alicia Thompson." The mob turned like a school of fish surging toward her. Security managed to hold them back, but the cameras kept clicking. The questions kept coming. "How does it feel to be a hero? What made you notice the danger? Are you getting a reward?" Alicia pushed through the chaos, escaping into the stairwell. She took the stairs 2 at a time, her heart pounding. This was exactly what she didn't want. Attention, scrutiny. Her face on the news, where anyone could see it, could recognize it, could connect it to things better left buried. On the 3rd floor, she nearly collided with Rebecca Harrison, Jonathan's chief legal officer. The woman looked immaculate as always, her silver hair pulled into a severe bun, her suit sharp enough to cut glass. "Ms. Thompson, how fortuitous." Her smile was cold. "The board would like a word." It wasn't a request. The boardroom occupied the entire northeast corner of the 40th floor, its windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Alicia had never been this high in the building before. The air even smelled different up here. Leather and expensive cologne instead of cleaning products and coffee. 7 board members sat around a table that probably cost more than Alicia made in 5 years. She recognized some from the corporate photos in the lobby. Old money types with names that appeared on hospital wings and museum galleries. Miss Thompson, the chairman, William Stratford, didn't invite her to sit. "We appreciate your actions yesterday. However, we have concerns." Concerns. "This incident has raised questions about our security protocols," Rebecca Harrison said. Questions about how someone in your position noticed what our professional security team did not. Maybe your security team isn't as professional as you thought. The words escaped before Alicia could stop them. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. That's a serious accusation, Strayford said slowly. It's an observation. Your security team didn't notice a surveillance vehicle that had been casing the building for 2 weeks. They didn't notice that Mr. Hale's regular driver had been replaced. They didn't notice the spotters across the street. Either they're incompetent or what? Rebecca leaned forward, or someone told them not to notice. The silence that followed was deafening. Board members exchanged glances. Conversations conducted entirely through raised eyebrows and pursed lips. That's quite enough, Strayford said. Miss Thompson, we're grateful for your intervention, but I think it's best if you maintain a low profile going forward. For your own safety, of course. Of course. The media attention is unfortunate. We'll be handling all press inquiries internally. You're not to speak to any reporters. I hadn't planned to. Good. You may go. Alicia turned to leave, but Stratford's voice stopped her. One more thing. It would be unfortunate if this incident were to give you ideas above your station. You're a janitor, Miss Thompson. Yesterday doesn't change that. The dismissal was clear. Alicia left the boardroom, her hands clenched into fists. She made it to the elevator before the rage really hit. Ideas above her station, as if saving someone's life was somehow inappropriate for someone who cleaned toilets. The elevator opened on the 20th floor, and Jonathan stepped in. They rode in silence for a moment. The board gave you the speech, didn't they? He said finally about knowing your place. Something like that. They're scared. When powerful people get scared, they get stupid. The elevator continued its descent. What you said about someone telling security not to notice. Do you really believe that? Don't you? He didn't answer, but she saw his jaw tighten. The elevator opened at the ground floor. As they stepped out, Jonathan's head of security, Brennan, was waiting. Sir, we finished the preliminary investigation. The vehicle was stolen. Reported 2 days ago. The fake driver, no ID on him, but we have footage. And he hesitated. What? Your regular driver, Frank. He was found this morning. St. Mary's Hospital. Someone worked him over pretty good. Broken ribs, concussion. He's stable, but Jonathan's face darkened. When night before last, same night, the car was reported stolen. Alicia felt the pieces clicking together. This wasn't some impulsive kidnapping attempt. It had been planned, coordinated. Someone had taken out Frank, stolen a vehicle, positioned spotters. This was professional. I want to see him, she said suddenly. Both men looked at her. Frank, I want to see him. That's not necessary, Brennan started. Let her go. Jonathan interrupted. Brennan, go with her. Full security detail. Sir, I don't think that wasn't a request. An hour later, Alicia stood in Frank's hospital room. The old driver looked small in the hospital bed, his face a map of bruises. His eyes widened when he saw her. You're the one, he wheezed. The one who saved Mr. Hale. What happened, Frank? He closed his eyes, remembering. I was heading to my car after my shift. 3 Minos. They didn't want money. They wanted my schedule. Mr. Hale's routine. I didn't tell them anything. I swear. I know you didn't. They had photos, though, of my grandkids. So if I talked to anyone, his voice broke. Alicia felt cold anger settling in her chest. Threatening family. It was the lowest kind of coercion and the most effective. Did you see their faces? One of them, young guy, maybe 30, scar on his left eyebrow, spoke with an accent, maybe Boston. Brennan was taking notes. We'll run this through facial recognition. They said something else. Frank continued before they left. Said this was bigger than just Mr. Hale. Said the whole company was going to change hands one way or another. Alicia and Brennan exchanged glances. A hostile takeover, but not through boardrooms and stock options through force. That evening, Alicia returned to her apartment to find Malik doing homework at the kitchen table. Medical textbooks spread around him. He wanted to be a doctor. Had the grades for it, just not the money. Another reason Alicia kept her head down and her job secure. How was school? Fine. How was being famous? Exhausting. She started making dinner. Chicken and rice. Simple but filling. As she cooked, She noticed Malik kept glancing at her. What? There's something you're not telling me about your past. She stopped stirring. What makes you say that? The way you handled everything yesterday. That's not normal, Alicia. And sometimes when you think I'm not watching, you move like someone trained to fight. Her baby brother was growing up, becoming too observant. She'd hoped to keep this from him forever, but secrets had a way of surfacing. I had some training before you were born. Security stuff? What kind of security stuff? The kind that doesn't matter anymore. She resumed stirring, her tone making it clear the subject was closed. But Malik wasn't done. Is that why we moved so much when I was little? Why you always check the locks 3 times? Why you made me memorize those escape routes? I'm just careful. You're scared of something or someone. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time it wasn't a text, but a photo. Malik walking home from school taken from across the street. The message below was simple. Next time stay out of it. Alicia's blood turned to ice. She deleted the message, but her hands were shaking. What is it? Malik hadn't noticed her expression. Nothing. School project reminder. The lie came easily. Too easily. That night, after Malik was asleep, Alicia pulled out an old phone from a hidden compartment in her closet. She dialed a number from memory, one she hadn't used in 8 years. Yeah. The voice was grawly aged. Marcus, it's Alicia. Silence. Then Jesus Christ, Alicia, I thought you were. I need information. Someone's running an operation in the city. Professional crew targeting corporate executives. What have you heard? Alicia, you can't just call after 8 years in. They threatened Malik. Alicia carefully removed the photo, folded it, and put it in her pocket. Then she would find Jonathan Hale. The seeds of doubt had been planted, but what would grow from them remained to be seen. The game was just beginning, and Alicia Thompson, janitor, protector, and something more, was ready to play. The knife-pierced photo of Malik burned in Alicia's pocket as she marched through the Hale Corporation building. She'd cleaned these halls for 3 years, stayed invisible, kept her head down, but they'd crossed a line. Threatening her was one thing. Threatening Malik was unforgivable. She found Jonathan in his corner office, standing before the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. He turned when she entered without knocking, his assistant trailing behind her, flustered. Mr. Hale, I try to stop her. It's fine, Sharon. His eyes stayed on Alicia. Closed the door. When they were alone, Alicia pulled out the photo and slammed it on his pristine glass desk. The knife hole through Malik's face was ragged violet. This was in my locker this morning. They're targeting my family now. My 17-year-old brother, who has nothing to do with any of this. Jonathan picked up the photo, his expression darkening when sometime between yesterday evening and this morning, which means they have access to the building, to the employee areas. That's impossible. We've increased security. Your security is compromised. Alicia's voice was sharp. I've been saying this, but nobody wants to listen to the janitor. I'm listening now. She studied him for a moment. The polished CEO facade was cracking, showing something more human underneath. Fear maybe, or guilt. Why are you really here? She asked. In my locker area. It's just maintenance staff. But you came to find me yesterday. You're having me investigated. Why do you care what happens to someone like me? Jonathan set down the photo carefully. Because you're the only person in this building I know I can trust. You don't even know me. I know you risked your life for mine, without hesitation. I know you see things others miss. And I know you have training you're not talking about. Alicia stiffened. What did your investigation turn up? Enough to know that Alicia Thompson didn't exist before 8 years ago. Before that, the trail goes cold. Professional level cold. They stared at each other across the desk. 2 people carrying secrets, circling toward trust. I work security, Alicia said. Finally. Private sector, then federal training program. I was good at it. Maybe too good. What happened? Life. Death. My parents were killed in a car accident. Except it wasn't an accident. They were collateral damage in something bigger. I had a choice. Pursue it and risk Malik, or disappear and keep him safe. I chose him. And now someone's dragged us back into it. Anyway, she pointed at the photo. I need real protection for my brother, not your corporate security guards, who couldn't spot a threat if it wore a name tag. Done. I'll arrange. The lights cut out. The office plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting failing to kick in. Through the windows, the city still glowed, meaning the outage was building-specific. Alicia grabbed Jonathan's arm, pulling him down behind the desk. Stay low. Glass shattered somewhere above them. Ventilation great. Someone was in the ceiling. Alicia's mind calculated angles, distances. The intruder would expect them to run for the door. When I say move, we go to your private bathroom, she whispered. The pipes in these old buildings run through reinforced walls. Harder to shoot through. Shoot. A red laser appeared on the wall where Jonathan's head had been moments before. Move. They scrambled across the office as the first shot punched through the desk, sending glass fragments everywhere. Another shot, then another, tracking their movement. Alicia shoved Jonathan into the bathroom and slammed the door, immediately, dropping to the floor. Emergency exit, she asked. There isn't one. This is the top floor. Phone. He pulled out his cell. No signal. They were being jammed. Footsteps above them, moving toward the bathroom. Alicia looked around desperately. Marble fixtures, gold faucets, a small window. The window. Can you swim? She asked. What? We're 40 floors up. There's a window washing platform 3 floors down. I saw it this morning. You want us to jump 3 floors? No, I want us to climb. She grabbed a towel, wrapped it around her hand, and punched through the window. Cold air rushed in. Unless you'd rather wait for them to come through that door. The doorknob rattled. Someone was picking the lock. Jonathan looked at the window, then at Alicia. You first. No, you're the target. You go. I cover with what? She grabbed the heavy marble soap dispenser. Go. Jonathan climbed through the window, his expensive suit catching on the broken glass. The wind hit him immediately. 40 floors up with nothing but a narrow ledge. He pressed against the building, trying not to look down. Alicia followed, pulling the window shut, just as the bathroom door burst open. Through the frosted glass, she saw a figure in black tactical gear, rifle raised. Moo. She pushed Jonathan along the ledge. Don't look down. Just slide your feet. They inched along the building's face, wind tearing at their clothes. Jonathan's knuckles were white as he gripped whatever handholds he could find. Below the window washing platform hung like a promise of safety 12 foot down and 20 feet to their left. Behind them, the bathroom window exploded outward. The shooter was following. We jump on 3, Alicia said. This is insane. 1, a bullet sparked off the stone inches from Jonathan's hand. 2, another shot closer. 3, they leaped. For a moment, they were flying 40 floors above the city streets. Then impact. They hit the platform hard, metal groaning under their weight. Jonathan rolled, nearly going over the edge before Alicia caught his arm. The platform's motor was at the other end. Alicia hit the controls, and they started descending slowly. Too slowly above. The shooter was repositioning. We're sitting ducks. Jonathan gasped. Alicia looked down. 37 floors to go. At this rate, they'd be picked off in seconds. She made a decision. Hold on to me. What? She grabbed the platform safety cables, wrapping them around her hands. I said, hold on. She kicked the motor housing, breaking the speed governor. The platform dropped into free fall. They plummeted past floor after floor, the cables smoking through Alicia's wrapped hands. Jonathan held on to her waist, his face buried against her shoulder. 20 floors, 15-10. Alicia pulled hard on the cables, friction burning through the towel wrapping. The platform's descent slowed, jerked, slowed more. They crashed onto the 3rd-floor balcony, the platform swinging wildly. Security guards burst through the balcony doors, weapons drawn. But these were Jonathan's men, their faces familiar. Mr. Hale, are you injured? Get us inside, Alicia ordered, taking command naturally. Full lockdown, nobody in or out. And get me, Brennan. Now the security office was chaos. Monitors showed tactical teams sweeping the building, finding nothing. The shooter had vanished, probably the same way they'd entered through the construction access on the roof. Professional job, Brennan admitted grudgingly. Knew exactly where to cut power, how to bypass our systems. Inside knowledge. Alicia said someone fed them your protocols. Jonathan, who'd been silent since their escape, finally spoke the board meeting. It's in an hour. You're not Sari. Usly thinking of attending after. I have to. If I don't show, they'll use it against me. Call an emergency vote. Claim I'm unfit to lead. Alicia saw the politics of it. The corporate warfare playing out alongside the physical threats. Then we changed the venue last minute, somewhere they won't expect. Where? She thought for a moment. The cafeteria, second floor, multiple exits, good sight lines, and nobody would expect the board to meet where the regular employees eat. Jonathan actually smiled. You're going to make the board of directors sit at cafeteria tables, unless they prefer being shot at. An hour later, the most powerful people in the company sat on plastic chairs, looking deeply uncomfortable. William Stratford's face was purple with indignation. This is completely inappropriate. So is trying to kill me. Jonathan cut him off. Someone in this company is feeding information to whoever's behind these attacks. So, until I know who, we do things my way. You're paranoid. Rebecca Harrison said these could be random. Random. Alicia stepped forward. She changed out of her maintenance uniform into dark pants and a jacket Jonathan had provided. She looked like security now. The attackers knew which office was his, knew the building's electrical layout, knew the security rotation schedule. That's not random. That's betrayal. And we're supposed to trust the word of a janitor. Board member David Crawford sneered. The janitor who saved my life twice. Jonathan's voice was ice, while my highly paid security team did nothing. About that, Stratford said slowly. Some of us have concerns about Miss Thompson's convenient presence during these incidents. You're suggesting I'm involved. Alicia kept her voice level, but her hands clenched. I'm suggesting it's quite the coincidence. A nobody suddenly becomes indispensable, perhaps hoping for a reward. You entitled piece of Jonathan's hand on her arm stopped her. But when he spoke, his voice was dangerous. Let me be clear. Alicia Thompson has shown more loyalty to this company in 3 days than some of you have in 3 decades. The next person who questions her integrity will need to find a new board to sit on. Shocked silence. Jonathan Hale never threatened a board, never showed emotion. This was new. Unsettling. Bennett, the COO, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the actual threat. Our stock price has dropped 12% since news of the first attempt. If this continues the merger, Rebecca finished. Yamamoto Industries is getting nervous. They're considering pulling out, which might be exactly what someone wants. Jonathan said, kill the merger, tank our stock, then sweep in for a hostile takeover at a fraction of the value. Who would dare? Crawford asked. Victor Cross. The name hung in the air like a poison cloud. Cross Industries had been circling Hale Corporation for years, looking for weakness. That's speculation, Bennett said quickly. Too quickly, Alicia noticed. Is it? Jonathan pulled out a tablet. 3 days ago, Cross Industries started buying up our stock through shell companies. Small amounts, nothing to trigger SEC warnings, but it's adding up. How do you know this? Stratford demanded. Because Miss Thompson suggested I look into it, and she was right. All eyes turned to Alicia. She met their stares steadily. I pay attention to patterns. The timing of the attacks, the stock movements, the merger deadline. It all points to a coordinated corporate rate. Someone wants Hale Corporation, and they're willing to kill for it. Even if that's true, Rebecca said. What do we do? We can't prove Cross is behind this. We set a trap. Alicia said the charity gala tomorrow night. They'll expect Mr. Hale to cancel show weakness. Instead, he goes very publicly forces their hand. That's insane, Crawford sputtered. You want to use our CEO as bait? No, Jonathan said quietly. I want to end this. Miss Thompson is right. Hiding shows weakness, but we control the venue, the guest list, everything. We make them come to us. The board argued for another hour, but eventually agreed. As they filed out, Bennett lingered, approaching Jonathan. This is a dangerous game you're playing. Trusting an outsider. Alicia is not an outsider. Not anymore. Bennett's expression flickered. Something dark, quickly hidden. I hope you know what you're doing. After he left, Alicia turned to Jonathan. He's involved, Bennett. He's been with the company 15 years. Exactly. Long enough to know everything. Trusted enough to have access. Watch him tomorrow night. That evening, Alicia finally made it home to find her apartment under subtle surveillance. Unmarked cars at both ends of the street. A utility worker who was far too alert. Jonathan's private security as promised. Inside, Malik was cooking dinner, trying to act normal. "You got bodyguards now?" he asked, attempting a joke. "Tory situation, right?" He stirred the pot of soup with unnecessary focus. "Alicia, I need to know. Are we running again?" The question hit her like a punch. How many times had she uprooted him? How many schools, friends, lives interrupted? "No," she said firmly. "This time we're not running. Even if it gets dangerous, it's already dangerous. But running doesn't solve anything. It just delays the problem." Malik nodded slowly. "Good. I like it here. I like my school. I don't want to start over again. You won't have to. I promise." But as she said it, her phone buzzed. Marcus had finally responded. "The crew you're asking about, they're not local. International players connected to someone called the Architect. Be careful, kid. This is bigger than corporate warfare." The Architect, Alicia, hadn't heard that name in 8 years. Her blood ran cold. The Vale Corporation Command Center had been transformed overnight into something resembling a military operation room. Monitors covered every wall, showing feed from the hotel where tomorrow's gala would be held. Security personnel ran through scenarios while technicians tested communication equipment. Alicia stood beside Jonathan, watching the organized chaos. She traded her janitor's uniform permanently now for tactical clothing that allowed her to blend with security while maintaining mobility. "Your COO just made another call to an unlisted number," she said quietly, showing him her phone. "Third one today." Jonathan's jaw tightened. "You're tracking Bennett. I'm tracking everyone. That's what you need right now. Someone who trusts no one, including me, especially you. You're emotionally compromised. These people betrayed you. That anger makes you vulnerable." He studied her face. "You sound like you're speaking from experience." "I am." She didn't elaborate, but images flashed through her mind. Another betrayal, another life, another loss that had sent her into hiding with Malik. Brennan approached them, tablet in hand. "We got a problem. The FBI wants in." Someone tipped them about a credible threat against Mr. Hale. "Who called them?" Alicia asked immediately. "Anonymous tip, but they're sending agents to the gala." Alicia and Jonathan exchanged glances. "No," she said. "We can't have federal agents there." "Why not?" Brennan challenged. "Extra protection. Because whoever's feeding information to the attackers will know exactly where every agent is positioned. It'll be a massacre." She turned to Jonathan. "You need to call them off. I can't just tell the FBI to your Jonathan Hale. You got senators on speed dial. Make it happen." While Jonathan made calls, Alicia pulled Brennan aside. "I need you to do something without questions. I don't take orders from you do now. Mr. Hale's life depends on it." She handed him a list. "These are the only security personnel I want at the gala. Everyone else gets the night off. This is only 12 people. 12 people I've personally vetted. Your regular team has been compromised. We don't know by who or how many." Brennan's face re-eamed. "You're saying my people. I'm saying someone helped that shooter navigate the building today. Someone's been feeding information. Until we know who, we trust nobody." That night, Alicia didn't go home. She stayed at the command center, memorizing every inch of the hotel layout, every possible entry and exit point. At 3 a.m., she was still awake when Jonathan found her. "You should rest," he said, handing her coffee. "Can't too much to cover. Tell me about the Architect." She nearly dropped the coffee. "Where did you hear that name?" "I have my sources, too." "Who is he?" Alicia was quiet for a long moment. "Nobody knows. It's a code name for someone who orchestrates corporate takeovers through unconventional means. Blackmail, violence, whatever it takes. 8 years ago, they targeted the company my parents work for. My parents discovered something they shouldn't have, and they were killed for it. Made it look like an accident. I was supposed to die, too. But I was at a training seminar that weekend. When I came back," she shrugged, "I had Malik to think about. He was only 9, so you ran. I disappeared. New names, new city, new life. Became invisible. A janitor. Nobody notices janitors. I noticed. No. She corrected. You noticed when I saved your life. Before that, I was furniture. The truth of it stung. But Jonathan didn't deny it. Things change, do they? After this is over, assuming we survive. What then? You go back to your corner office. I go back to mopping floors. Is that what you want? I want Malik safe. Everything else is secondary. Jonathan, move closer. That's not an answer. It's the only answer that matters. Dawn came too quickly. The gala was set for 8 p.m. By noon, Alicia was at the hotel walking through with the skeleton security team. She positioned each person carefully, creating overlapping fields of view while maintaining discretion. Remember, she told them, we're not trying to stop an attack. We're trying to catch whoever's behind it. Let them think they have the advantage. That's insane. One guard protested. No, it's strategy. They're expecting heavy security. They'd arranged for a Jonathan lookalike similar height and billed to enter first. Sure enough, within minutes, Alicia spotted movement. A waiter who kept touching his ear. A photographer whose camera was pointed at exits instead of guests. A woman in an evening gown who moved like she was wearing body armor underneath. At least 6, she counted. They're already inside. So we aboard. No, we spring the trap. She handed him an earpiece. Stay in constant contact. If I tell you to move, you move. No questions. Alicia knows. You're not trained for this. 8 p.m. Jonathan entered the ballroom to applause. The charity gala was in full swing. Hundreds of guests, champagne flowing, orchestra playing, everything glittering and false. Alicia shadowed him from the service corridors, watching through doorways and gaps in the crowd. She saw Bennett arrive, shaking hands, smiling, playing the loyal solo perfectly. Then she saw him, Victor Cross. The rival CEO, walked in like he owned the place, heading straight for Jonathan. Jonathan, terrible business with these attacks. I hope you're being careful, Victor. Jonathan's voice was steady. Unexpected to see you here. Oh, I wouldn't miss it. After all, we might be partners soon. Partners? Well, once your merger falls through and your stock tanks, someone will need to step in. Preserve shareholder value. Through the earpiece, Alicia whispered, he's baiting you. Don't react. But she was watching Bennett, who had just excused himself, heading toward a service door. She followed. In the kitchen, Bennett was on his phone, speaking urgently. Do it now. He's in position. Alicia stepped out behind him, calling her friends. Bennett spun, his face cycling through surprise, anger, and finally resignation. You should have stayed invisible, janitor. And you should have stayed loyal. He pulled a gun, but Alicia was already moving. She swept his legs, sending him crashing into a prep table. The gun skittered across the floor. Bennett lunged for it, but Alicia got there first, kicking it away. Why? She demanded. Bennett laughed, blood running from his nose. You think this is about money. It's about power. Jonathan's weak, too ethical. The board wants someone stronger, someone like Cross. Cross is just a tool. The real power. He stopped, eyes widening as he realized he'd said too much. The architect, Alicia, finished. Before Bennett could respond, the lights went out. Not just in the kitchen, everywhere. The hotel plunged into darkness. Through her earpiece, she heard Jonathan. Alicia, what's happening? Get to the safe room now. Emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in red. Bennett was gone. Escaped in the darkness. Alicia ran back toward the ballroom where panic was spreading. Guests screamed, pushed, fled. She found Jonathan being hustled by 2 security guards toward the exit. But something was wrong. She didn't recognize them. Stop. She sprinted forward, tackling one guard as he reached for something inside his jacket. They went down hard, wrestling for control of what she now saw was a syringe. The other guard grabbed Jonathan, dragging him toward service exit. Alicia broke free, grabbed a champagne bottle, and hurled it. It caught the guard in the head, stunning him long enough for Jonathan to break away. The safe room, she shouted. They ran together through the chaos. Alicia leading the way through service corridors she'd memorized. Behind them, footsteps pounded. Multiple pursuers. A shot rang out, shattering a mirror beside them. Another shot closer. They burst into the safe room, a reinforced conference room Alicia had prepared. She slammed the door, engaging the locks. "This won't hold for long," she said, pulling out her phone. No signal. They were being jammed again. Jonathan was breathing hard, his tuxedo torn. "Bennett, he's the inside man. Has been all along. I trusted him. 15 years I trusted him. That's what they count on. Trust makes you vulnerable." The door shuddered under impact. Someone was trying to break through. Alicia looked around the room, calculating. "There's a maintenance shaft behind that panel. It leads to the parking garage. You want us to crawl through?" The door cracked. Another hit and it would give. "Unless you have a better idea." They ripped open the panel and crawled into the shaft just as the door burst open. In the confined space, they could hear voices. They went through the shaft, cut them off at the garage. Alicia and Jonathan crawled faster, knees scraping on metal until they reached another panel. Alicia kicked it open and they dropped into the parking garage. It was too quiet. "This is a trap," Jonathan whispered. "I know, but sometimes the only way out is through." They moved between cars, staying low. The exit was 50 feet away when figures emerged from behind vehicles, 6 of them armed surrounding them. Victor Cross stepped out, clapping slowly. "Brilliant effort. Truly, but the game's over." "Is it?" Alicia asked. Cross frowned at her confidence. Then his eyes widened as he heard sirens. Lots of them getting closer. "You call the cops." He snarled. "FBI." "Actually," Alicia said. "Turns out they don't like being told to stay away. Makes them very interested in why someone would want them gone." The garage filled with federal agents, weapons drawn. Cross and his men dropped their guns, hands rising. But Bennett was nowhere to be seen. As Cross was handcuffed, he smiled at Jonathan. "You think you've won? You have no idea how deep this goes." The architect doesn't lose. After he was taken away, Jonathan turned to Alicia. "It's not over." "No," she agreed, looking at the city lights beyond the garage. "But tonight we survived. That's enough, is it?" She thought of Malik hidden away, but safe. Of the threats still lurking in shadows. Of Bennett, escaped and dangerous. It has to be for now. The aftermath of the parking garage arrest should have felt like victory. But Alicia knew better. As FBI agents swarmed the hotel, taking statements and processing evidence, she stood in the shadows, watching Jonathan field questions from federal investigators. Victor Cross was in custody, his mercenaries arrested, but Bennett had vanished like smoke. "We need to talk." Agent Sarah Coleman approached Alicia, her FBI badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. "You're not really a janitor, are you?" "I clean buildings for a living." "That makes me a janitor with tactical training." "Who taught you to move like that?" Alicia stayed silent. Coleman studied her for a moment, then pulled out a tablet. "Alicia Thompson existed for 8 years. Before that, nothing, but I ran your prints through our database." Alicia's heart rate spiked, but she kept her expression neutral. "Nothing came up," Coleman continued, "which is interesting because everyone's prints are somewhere. DMV, employment records, something. Unless someone very good scrubbed them. What do you want?" "The truth about the architect." The name hung between them. Alicia glanced at Jonathan, who was still surrounded by agents. "Not here. Too many years." Coleman nodded and led her to a quiet corner of the hotel security office. "We've been tracking the architect for 12 years. Corporate espionage, assassination, hostile takeovers through violence. But never a face, never a real name. Because the architect isn't one person," Alicia said quietly. "It's a network. Cut off one head, another takes over. You've dealt with them before." It wasn't a question. Alicia weighed her options. The FBI could be an ally, or they could destroy the life she'd built. 8 years ago, they killed my parents. May it look accidental. I was supposed to die, too. What? My mother was a forensic accountant. She found something. Money trails, shell companies, a web of corruption that went higher than anyone imagined. She tried to go to the authorities. What happened? The authorities were compromised. The architect had people everywhere. Law enforcement, judiciary, corporate boards. My parents died before they could expose it. Coleman leaned forward. Do you still have a research? No. I burned everything. Had to. They were hunting me and Malik. But you remember Alicia met her eyes. I remember everything. Before Coleman could respond, Jonathan burst in. Alicia, we have a problem. Malik's safe house. The guards aren't responding. Ice flooded Alicia's veins. She grabbed her phone, calling Marcus. No answer. She tried Malik. Nothing. I have to go. She told Coleman. We're not done. My brother's in danger. We're done. She ran from the hotel. Jonathan following his driver, the real one this time. Frank had insisted on returning to work despite his injuries. Had the car running the address. Jonathan told Frank, then turned to Alicia. I've got a security team heading there now. Your security is compromised, remember? Not these guys. Private contractors I've used before. Military trained. They raced through the city, Alicia's mind spinning through possibilities. Bennett knew about Malik, had seen how she'd react to threats against him. This was personal now. The safe house was a nondescript apartment building in a quiet neighborhood. Too quiet. No lights in the windows. No movement. Jonathan's security team was already there surrounding the building. Let them go first, Jonathan said. But Alicia was already out of the car, running toward the entrance. She took the stairs 3 at a time, her heart pounding. The apartment door was ajar, lock broken. She pushed it open, weapon drawn. She had taken one from the hotel security. The living room was destroyed. Furniture overturned, blood on the walls. Marcus lay unconscious near the kitchen, breathing but badly beaten. Malik, Alicia shouted, searching frantically. A groan from the bedroom. She found her brother tied to a chair, bruised but alive. Relief flooded through her as she cut his bonds. I'm okay, he said immediately, though his voice shook. They wanted you. Said you'd come if they took me. Who? Bennett. Yeah, him and others. They left 10 minutes ago. Said I give you this. He handed her a phone. As soon as she touched it, it rang. Hello, Alicia. Bennett's voice was calm, amused even. Or should I use your real name? Where are you? Close. We need to talk alone. No FBI, no security, no billionaire boyfriend. Jonathan's not Midnight. The old Riverside factory. You know it. She did. Abandoned industrial complex by the river. Perfect for an ambush. If I don't come, then tomorrow's headlines will be very interesting. Janitor with fake identity suspected in corporate terrorism. The FBI will find evidence linking you to the attacks. Your brother will go into foster care. Everything you've built will crumble. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your apartment. The real one. The line went dead. Alicia looked at Malik, then at Jonathan, who just entered. We need to go to my apartment now. They left Malik with the security team and Marcus, who was conscious now, insisting he was fine despite the obvious. Concussion. The drive to Alicia's building was tense, silent. Her apartment door was untouched, but inside everything had changed. The walls were covered with photographs, surveillance shots of her over the years, documents she thought she destroyed, copies of her mother's research. My God, Jonathan breathed, taking in the damning collage. In the center of it all was a single document, a forged federal warrant for her arrest, backdated with enough fabricated evidence to destroy her life. They've been watching me for years, Alicia said numbly, waiting for the right moment. We'll fight this. My lawyers can't fight evidence that goes back 8 years. They've built a perfect frame. She touched a photo of her parents. The architect plays the long game. Jonathan pulled her away from a wall. So what do we do? I go to the meeting. That's suicide. No, it's negotiation. Bennett wants something. Otherwise, he'd have just released this. I'm coming with you. You can't. They'll kill you. Then we bring back up. They'll kill Malik. She showed him a new message on the phone. A live video feed of Malik at the safe house. A sniper's crosshairs superimposed over his head. They've got eyes on him. If I don't come alone, he dies. Jonathan grabbed her shoulders. There has to be another way. There isn't. But I need you to do something for me. Anything. Keep Malik safe. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. Promise me, he's all that matters. Jonathan pulled her into an embrace, surprising them both. You matter, too. You matter to me. For a moment, Alicia let herself feel it. The warmth, the safety, the possibility of something beyond survival. Then she pulled away. I have to go. The riverside factory loomed against the night sky. A skeleton of rusted metal and broken glass. Alicia parked outside, checking her weapon one last time. She'd come alone as demanded, but she wasn't stupid. The gun was hidden, but accessible. Inside, the factory was a maze of shadows and debris. Moonlight filtered through holes in the roof, creating pools of silver light. Bennett emerged from the darkness, flanked by 4 men. Punctual. I always appreciated that about you. What do you want, Bennett? Well, I've always wanted order, stability, profit. He began circling her. The men maintaining their positions. Jonathan's too soft, too concerned with ethics and fairness. The board knows it. The shareholders know it. He's bad for business. So, you try to have him killed. Killed. No. Captured, controlled, leveraged. Death is wasteful. But you complicated things by saving his life. By being unpredictable. The architect doesn't like unpredictability. Who is the architect? Bennett laughed. You still don't understand. The architect isn't a person. It's a position. A role that passes from one to another. Your mother almost exposed the 3rd architect. Now we're on the 5th. We aren't being considered for the position. This operation was my audition. Deliver Vale Corporation. Prove my worth. But you failed. Cross is arrested. Jonathan's alive. Did I fail, or did I remove a rival and position myself perfectly? Bennett smiled. Cross was always expendable. Too obvious. Too crude. But now with him gone, the board terrorized. Jonathan isolated. Who do they turn to? The loyal COO who tried to warn them. The pieces clicked into place. Bennett had played everyone, including Cross. You set Cross up. I gave him enough rope to hang himself. And you helped beautifully. So why am I here? Why not just release the evidence against me? Because you're valuable. Your skills, your instincts. The architect could use someone like you. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a life. Join us. And the evidence disappears. Malik gets a full scholarship to medical school. You get resources, protection, purpose. And Jonathan resigns quietly. Health reasons perhaps, or a nervous breakdown after the trauma. Bennett Technologies has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Alicia pretended to consider it buying time. And if I refuse, then by morning, you wanted terrorist, Malik in foster care, and Jonathan. Well, accidents happen even to billionaires. Especially to billionaires in your world. It's not my world. It's the world. I'm just better at navigating it than most. A sound echoed through the factory. Footsteps on metal. Bennett's men raised their weapons, but he held up a hand. We're not alone. One of them said no. Bennett agreed. We're not. He looked at Alicia. You didn't really come alone, did you? You said no security, no FBI. You didn't say anything about journalists. Bennett's face went pale. What? Every major news outlet in the city is surrounding this building right now. Live feeds, satellite trucks. Whatever happens here will be witnessed by millions. You're bluffing. Alicia pulled out her phone, showing him a live news broadcast. Breaking news. Anonymous tip leads media to possible corporate conspiracy meeting. This wasn't the deal. You changed the deal when you touched my brother. Alicia stepped forward. Here's my counteroffer. You confess everything. The attacks, the conspiracy, the architect network. In exchange, you get protective custody instead of a bullet. From whom? From the real 5th architect. You didn't really think they'd let you live after failing this badly, did you? Bennett's confidence cracked. They wouldn't. You just told me the architect removes problems. You become a problem. As if on cue, one of Bennett's men shifted his gun, moving toward Bennett instead of Alicia. Bennett saw it, diving behind a rusted machine as bullets sparked off metal. Chaos erupted. The men turned on each other, unsure who was loyal to whom. Alicia rolled behind cover as gunfire echoed through the factory. The architect's network was eating itself. Through the noise, she heard vehicles outside. Not media vans, but tactical trucks. The FBI had come anyway. Coleman unwilling to let her face this alone. FBI, drop your weapons. Agents flooded the factory. Bennett tried to run, but Alicia was there, sweeping his legs, driving him to the ground. He looked up at her, blood running from his nose. "You don't understand what you've done. The architect will come for you, for everyone you care about. Let them come. I'm done running." The FBI field office buzzed with activity as Bennett was processed. Alicia sat in an interview room, Coleman across from her. Between them, a mountain of evidence. Bennett had been carrying documents, hard drives, enough to expose years of corporate manipulation. "He's talking," Coleman said, "trying to make a deal. Names, dates, operations. The architect network is bigger than we imagined, but you don't have the current architect." "No." Bennett claims he never met them face to face. Everything was through intermediaries. Alicia studied the documents, financial records, assassination lists, corporate targets. Her parents' names are there. Mark completed 8 years ago. "There's something else," Coleman said. "Carr.